Hey everyone, welcome to another playthrough of Surviving Mars. This is not a episode or series yet, but I'm definitely getting there. I've been replaying the game over and over, and that's one of the ways that I learn certain things. If I do something, so I play for an hour, the previous episode was for 3 hours, and it's the way that I learn by doing trial and error and developing certain patterns. So in the beginning of this video, you'll see me play through a couple times and repeat certain things. Like when I first land, there are things that I follow regarding what I do in the beginning. Just lay down the depots, and then I lay down the concrete extractor units. This playthrough I was doing 2 at a time because I finally figured out the extraction unit, when it's a low quality or low grade, it doesn't extract as much stuff. So as opposed to if we had the high grade stuff, we can extract more per soul, extract more stuff per soul. But these are all predicted things that you can see in the menu, and I could watch someone play the game and figure this out, but seeing these things on my own, especially like when meteors hit, they leave behind deposits of materials that we could use for our base for building things. And here I am also wondering which is the best dome to create. Very first dome that I set out, I think, was in the previous episode, but I didn't put any colonists in there. So as you can see from the title, we're going to explore the option of colonists. This is a video from when I played back in last week, and I had a birthday. And I talked about it. But anyway, this is what I did. I ran that morning, and then I played the game. I took some notes down and tried to figure out what I can do consistently. So if I play an hour or a 3-hour game, depending on how much time I have, I want to see how far I can get within that hour. So you can definitely have a dome within an hour, and more than that in 3. So I'm playing the game in normal speed. I told you guys it's part of this challenge because, as you notice, this is a normal time. It's not a time lapse. I wanted to experiment with showing you in the beginning what I usually have in regards to like in a normal time lapse without the time lapse. So this is the playthrough. I also, since we're in the Space Y, that's our campaign or our sponsor, and we're inventors. We are doing with the ability to do rockets first, and then the colonists. So milestones are the things that I like to hit on. I think I created some sort of efficient layout. I made a hexagon outlining the first drone hub that I have, and I'll show a border around where its zone of influence is. So when you click on Control key while you're having the drone hub highlighted, it'll show you its sphere of influence. So I'm trying to do 3 squares inside. Here are all the different missions I have. Someone did want the spoiler-free version of this playthrough. You can skip ahead if you don't want to see the different missions that I have. So I have different choices, like this one, the dark side of the sun, allowed me to get more science or research for different things. And as I mentioned before, not all these missions, these prompts are positive, yield positive rewards, but some of them did. So here are my settings for this map. So it's 20 degrees south, 163 degrees west. So it doesn't have a lot of metals, but it has a lot of concrete and the other water. It's primarily dust devils, some meteors, showers, and minimal dust storms. So I picked that. It totals up to, well, before the game update, it was 305%, but afterwards I think it went down to 275. So in a couple more episodes you'll see that I upped the difficulty. We eventually settled on 345%, which is nice. So this playthrough, I believe this was 3-hour one. I decided to see if I could learn more, especially so I wanted to have an efficient line instead of doing that hexagon line out of, following the outline of the drone hub. So I tried to make it like that. Oh, I guess I do follow the outline of the drone hub. But here's my standard layout. So I have 3 of these solar panels. This is my power distribution package with a wind turbine for recharging stuff at night. And then we have that polymer storage unit or battery. And here I discovered the use of using cargo ships, or the supply emergency supply thing that takes 100 million credits or dollars to launch. I guess that's I wanted to save space instead of just landing rockets. I wanted that deployment package because I only need a couple things, so I don't really have rockets or plan to have rockets to land other than the passenger ones. I want to avoid having too many rockets outside. I want to eventually build one down here. So let's see. So I noticed a mound in the middle of my game. I'm not sure what that is, but it's probably part of the mystery. So mysteries I have randomized here in this playthrough, but eventually we settle on doing the artificial intelligence one just so that I can up the difficulty in the thing. So as you can see, we're almost hit by a meteor, and we have 2 things that were deployed down here. I ordered moisture evaporators because in this part of the map I don't have anything here for water. I believe the water's on the north part of the map. So I have a drone hub. I'm gonna cover 33%, which is right here. Well, this is more like 50%. Yeah, I think in the previous playthrough I was doing 33% or 120-degree coverage of the drone hub. So you need that coverage, that gray area, that gray outline to be able to control your drones. Otherwise, you can't do anything productive. And here's my research queue. I did want to cover up, if this was going to be a spoiler-free thing, I was going to edit out when I do tech trees and stuff like that, just do a regular playthrough. By the way, I'm using the encoding computer to do to get the feed from the laptop, but I found out that the noise cancellation software that I use to record doesn't work on this GTX 690. The technology is too old for NVIDIA, even though they said the GTX 600 series works. This one is not. I might need to roll back the driver. I do have a previous version that did work, but we'll see what we can do. So there we go. We got the sensor towers. So the sensor towers I tried to spread out. They cost a electronic part, I believe, or yeah, an electronic part and a polymer, or is it a metal and a polymer? But I don't have a lot of those things. I think it needs all 3. I'm eventually gonna have colonists that can create those things. So polymers can be extracted using the polymer factory. So it needs I think it's engineers that man that building, and they have, needs water and fuel to create polymers. It's a pretty involved game. I decided to do a microdome this playthrough instead of the regular biodome because those require polymers to create. And I noticed this microdome. I don't really need a spire, so the spire is later on, right? And I don't really need to put a spire in, which the microdome can't do. So here is me putting down the polymer factory. Just trying to figure out the pipes. So the pipes, if they're on the grid, they go a certain way, which is interesting. I don't know why they didn't use the like the city skylines kind of build scheme where that you can remove the snap of objects. That way you can do curves and you could make things fit instead of putting stuff on a grid, but that's alright. Makes things more efficient, I guess. So here's my standard layout for the dome. I think this is the first time that I've played a couple of times where I had a dome. Here I'm offsetting the fuel, the thing that makes the fuel, because I was told if a meteor hits it, it blows up everything in its vicinity. So I'm thinking the blast radius is about 6 tiles, which is the range of when you click on it. Hopefully that never happens in the game. But I'm trying not to put it next to a dome, which is that's why it's all the way up there. That means that the fuel does have to travel a little bit more to be delivered. And one of the important things I do when I land is keep in mind what resources are needed nearby. There is something I did discover recently in a playthrough after I've had a couple of playthroughs, is that the transport, if you load it up with resources, the drones will use it. So you can essentially travel with it and build. If you couple it with an RC commander, you go anywhere and allow the building of different things in remote locations. The ideal. So here we got another prompt about an anomaly. I forget which one this is specifically. But, so I always pick the engineer thing whenever I do a choice, because for me, engineering's good. I mean, it's just a preference. I'm going to be choosing the engineering outcome of if I were given a choice. Instead of, well, the physics one is good. You know, I've only looked at some of the engineering stuff. So maybe it'll change, but that's what's going to be chosen for most missions. And then you have this other one. So training program for different applicants. This is pretty interesting. So I found out when you're starting your campaign, or not your campaign, when you're out there doing your Mars mission and you're trying to do recruit some colonists to come to your place or to go to your area, the applicants, they're all from all walks of life. So you get people that are hypochondriacs, you have people that they have different flaws and traits, like they're gluttons, they eat twice as much when their sanity's low. You have gamblers, you got people like that. So as far as a standard thing, also I always research the fuel before anything else. So Martian fuel, it costs less to send a rocket into space, 15%. So take note of the life support missing on this dome, because I did not pay attention to the power requirements, which in the future playthroughs I made sure I had plenty of power. I add a solar panel to my standard layout, and I eventually go away from the wind turbines because I wanted to do an all solar build. The wind thing, it's because I noticed you need a certain material to be created to maintain those things. I think it's a machine part and some concrete. So I don't want to have to make that, but I think later on in the game it was easier to do. So here's my standard micro dome. The basic elements of what people need or colonists need. So of course, the necessities, other than oxygen, water, you need food, right? So I have a hydroponic lab or hydroponic farm where botanists can harvest some stuff. I also found out how to make this building perform better. If you hit the specialization key, it only hires, or it only occupies botanists, and with those, when people specialize in what the work they do, they have a better morale. So I try to do that for most of wherever there's a job assigned. And you also need a way to serve the food. So a diner, or a small diner, allows you to, it also has a socialization perk. You socialize while you eat. I don't know about you, but when I eat, I don't know. I've eaten in front of people. There are sometimes I prefer that over not being talked to and allowing me to enjoy my meal. But when I was overseas, it was something that I made a regular thing of calling back home, or eating with someone else, because if you're when you do night shift and you're alone and you don't see people, most people are asleep when you're coming home, or they're just waking up and you're doing 12s. It puts a toll on you. Like you kind of miss certain things. And social interaction is something like that. But if I ever were to go to a Mars mission like this, I think I would do okay, because I went through something similar. So here I forget about the range, the gray areas for extractor units. Anything that extracts anything, if it has a word extractor in it, it's gonna kick up dirt, right? So dirt in this game is detrimental to your equipment. It causes rust. It causes things to malfunction because the parts, the moving parts, are grinding each other with the elements, and the elements are abrasive, like the sand, Martian sand. It just wears things down. So to avoid that, make sure your stuff's not dusty. But to do that, make sure it's away from everything, right? So here, these extractors, the rare metal stuff, is the thing that you can trade with in the game that allows you to have money to fund your program. There are other ways you could do eventually. This is going ahead, but you can advertise or ask for sponsors, and you can also trade with rival colonies, which I always have 3 of. And when I put it on random, but I'm always getting like China, and what else? There's the Ark one that always follows me around, the Church of the Ark or something like that. And there's another one that's random. Oh, Brazil. I always get those 3 somehow. I don't know what those. I think there's more. There definitely has to be more than that because of the different flags that show up here. So space-wide, there's a lot of different applicants here. I'm choosing the colonists. I'm thinking about what jobs that are needed on the surface of Mars, but I also forget that there are no jobs for some of them. You have to keep in mind later on, there are jobs where you need non-specialists to fulfill, and it's okay if they're lazy to do it. Just there's some I learned you need a certain occupancy, right, to make it an effective building. So the 2 buildings that are important are the diner, so that you can always serve food at a shift, and then there's the farm to supply the food, or to create the food. And then there's a couple. There's another one, the medical building. So if you have the medical building, it helps cure their sanity if it ever goes low, or if anything goes wrong with them. They visit that building multiple times and they can boost their stats, their health, and things like that. And the last thing you want is an unhealthy Martian born. So you can see before they land, I deactivate everything so it's not using up power. I forget that the crops aren't turned off in the hydroponic bay, so they can spoil before the people arrive. If you're gonna turn things off, you should make sure those are off. Here I'm doing some management StarCraft style. Just kidding. I had StarCraft when I was going to college. I didn't really play a lot of it, but I thought that people who played it professionally were like incredible. So the landing of those cargo loads or payloads also kick up dust, so that gray area you gotta pay attention to. So here, for some reason I didn't prioritize the Martian fuel thing. Maybe I was still too new, I'm still trying to learn. And here we got a step. I think this might have been the first time I had colonists in my game. I remember doing it on my birthday, so this might have been the game I finally had colonists in. But I do definitely remember taking a screenshot of or a video of them gallivanting to the dome. It might have been this is not the first time. It's just the first time that I actually filtered it, I think. I just accepted whoever wanted to join my little colony here. But you do want to filter who comes in, because I want to do all the milestones before anyone else too, because that's one of the milestones too. So if I have a bunch of useless people who aren't doing anything, that would be really bad. So you see the maintenance cost of the dome is going up. It's because of the dust kicking out. Eventually you get access to things that clean up the air or the dust, but that's later on. So here there's another anomaly that was analyzed. These anomalies, I think I mentioned in a previous episode, I didn't find out about the Explorer. I knew the Explorer did anomalies and stuff, but because of my rules, I thought I wouldn't want any supplies sent from Earth until I reached a certain soul number or something. I don't know what rule I made up. Like, I wanted to make sure I didn't depend on cargo coming in and out as much as they should. But this game is about importing and exporting of goods and resource management, so it makes sense to send things in and out, but you gotta be conscious of what you need. Also don't want to riddle my entire place with rockets. That's why I didn't order any cargo ones. I just use the small payloads. Okay, there's hypothermia going on. That's so we forewarned that the power started going down. The average temperature of this map was negative 15 or 15 degrees. If you've seen The Martian, you'll know that the nights on Mars can get really cold. So there are some traits that some Martians or the colonists, they can withstand cold. It's called rugged, I think, or survivor. They can withstand the elements a little bit longer than others, so it just takes on their health instead of their sanity, which eventually, once you lose all your health, of course you die anyway. So I made sure I started paying attention to electricity after that happened, and this is before I started monitoring the dome stats. When you click on the dome, it shows the different levels that you guys are on, or your colonists are on. Your sanity, your comfort level. And I didn't really figure out comfort level until recently. So it's going to be a couple episodes until you see me finally getting good at keeping my populace satisfied. So the one thing that I notice when people are playing this game is when they first start out. I've done the same thing too. I try to micromanage everything, but here you should only try to control what you control, right? The environment's something you can affect, so that's the thing you could concentrate on. So if they're unhappy because they don't have social interaction, the diner, keeping them at least fed, and the diner has the social aspect as well as food and comfort. So if you can couple those two, you could do it all in one trip, right? these compound with each soul. Each time a colonist eats at least once a day, they'll have that satisfaction, the plus 10 of comfort, or whatever the case may be. And they'll never go below 50 comfort if you keep them fed. So make sure you always have food. And the hydroponic thing, it doesn't really yield as much food as I need. That's a lot quicker than importing it, so it's later in the game when I get access to farm. It allows me to increase my throughput. Also, the social perks and research for the botanists, when they it adds 10 to their performance. It makes it easier for the plants to, or the food to be created or produced. So here we are. I do like the look of the wind turbines, but it is that maintenance cost that worries me. Although someone did mention the wind turbines do cost less in the long run to maintain than the solar panel. The thing that Space-Y, when you have the Space-Y, what do you call them? Campaign sponsor? Oh, they're sponsors. What they have that solar array that costs 40 metal and 3 to maintain. Just doing some math based on how long it takes to repair a large solar panel versus that array that provides 40 power. I believe you need 8 large solar arrays to fulfill that kind of power wattage. So when that thing, over the course of its lifetime, it ends up being more expensive to maintain than the one metal you need for each large solar panel. So I think I'm gonna go that route until I unlock. I got a perk or one of the missions. When you select the right choice, you get access to this atomic thing, or an artificial sun, which eventually, if you can couple that with a solar farm, then you'll have something that will perpetually provide power throughout for the city, right? I forget how much wattage it outputs. It's something like 1,000 something, not sure. But if my laptop can handle all that, well, it would mean I would need hundreds of colonists, right, by that time. I think I'm gonna play this game until I finish the Space-Y campaign, and then eventually go to other sponsors. But I did get a message, when am I gonna do City Skylines 1 episode again. To be honest, I'm using this time to take a break. I didn't really mention it, but I got an assignment and I'll be moving soon. I won't tell you the day where, but so I'm gonna use this time to start something new, and as part of that kind of transition, and then who knows, City Skies would be a Throwback Thursday thing. I'll still do some episodes. We're at episode 75, right? I think the end game for that would be when my computer dies. Well, no, or until I finish all the milestones, which is what most people do as their end game. But that game never really ends. I've been playing it since 2015, or I had it since 2015. I didn't really play it until I deployed, and I started missing city life, so I created my own. But yeah, you've never been away from home before for a period of time, for a long period of time, or I think, I don't know, that went by fast. But if you've never gone through that, it's not the best thing, but someone has to do it, right? Anyway, I hope that was timed well. We're gonna get the enthusiast pop up. So it's one of the traits of the colonist is, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade, right? It goes with the principle of something terrible happens, or something uneventful, or something you can't control, but it just happens. You can take it and complain about it, or you can use it as a way to do something positive, right? Yeah, like a thing with the lemon. It's a sour thing when you you bite into it. I don't know how some people, they can just take a bite out of it and it'll be fine. That thing is sour, so when you're given a lemon, you can either make lemonade, cry about it, or not cry about it. You can make lemonade and make your day better, or someone else's day better, or you can just take a bite of it and make a sour patch face. I still didn't do any of my research for the fuel yet, but I saw that I unlocked Martian vegetation. I don't know why I went with that first, so I unlocked the ability to do seeds. So this exposes the ultimate goal of this game is to terraform Mars to the point where you can just live outside of the planet, right? I think that would be the ultimate end goal as far as human expansion is, or space travel, to be a spacefaring species, to be able to colonize and live in an austere environment, or a once austere environment. It's become your new home where you can now live and breathe and be productive members there. So we have this mission, the training program. It allows me to make a choice, another choice of like based on what we need applicants. So I did house a celebrity in one of my playthroughs, but I didn't play enough to where it went past a certain day. I recently was able to unlock the 10-day requirement, or bypass the 10-day incubation period, I guess, for before you can get more rockets to send passengers, and all you have to do is have a Martian born. But sorry if I'm spoiling the next couple episodes, but if you want, if you like me doing this certain thing where I preview or preface the next episodes, because these are all batched, let me know. Or if you want me to do this spoiler free, also let me know. This is not a series. I'm making this an organic upload, basically finding out what you guys like to see. You want less of a time lapse, less of a playthrough, or you want an episodic, how you want the episodes to be structured, like me learning about a certain thing, or because right now I am just doing batches of 4 videos, so four sessions of gameplay. Sometimes I did have 3-hour bouts of the game because I felt like it was the weekend and I needed a break. I'm working really hard at work, and me figuring out something is, even though it sounds like work, it's actually pretty fun for me. It's how I like, my mind favors challenging itself. Nowadays, I like learning new things and applying it. And if I can do that in a video game, that's the best thing. So there are a lot of buildings that I used here that I don't really need. Let's go back to the common mistakes that I've made, and I watch people make too. They just buy a bunch of buildings and then they end up with maintenance costs they cannot fulfill, right? I put all the tiny buildings that can fit in a grid to see if I can raise comfort levels. You can see below in the stats, they're not that great. And you can also see that a bunch of my buildings aren't fully staffed. We'll go back to the 3 things that you need staffed as a medical building. So critical care unit is a good one to have, or if you want to fill up the space, and then a diner for the socialization, relaxation, food, right? And then you need a way to make food. So the hydroponic farm right now is one of the ways to create your own food, or you can have it imported each time, which can get kind of expensive. But I don't think when I was making food as a botanist, even with 3 in that dome, I didn't meet the demand of 2.4 units of food per soul, because it took 4 souls to make something good. And when I did the wheatgrass thing that has high yield, but it shows up every soul. For some reason, because of who occupied the building, we only had like less than 2.4 units of food. I would always be in the negative 2.1. So I decided after the next couple playthroughs, you'll see that I didn't prioritize the research that I needed to learn. I talked about engineering, favoring that. I'm going in the next couple of playthroughs. That's what I do. I do the engineering aspect. And I eventually want to have a game where if I can do something within 3 hours each time, then that's when I'll start the series. As right now, I just like learning the game, like a no pressure thing. I could restart whenever. Because when I started the City Skylines series, I always had the inkling I wanted to restart the game again, because that's what I normally do when something goes wrong in my game. After I learn about it, of course, so that I could see if I can do it better the next time around. It's unlike real life where you do restart. Well, you can sort of restart things and be where you be better off where you left off. So that's definitely doable. But yeah, I ran 40 miles this year. It's crazy to think. Only last year I did 39. I did this one pretty quick, a little bit over 7 hours, like a 12-minute pace. The long distances, you obviously account for different times you had to stop. And this one was pretty good. I felt pretty good about this one because of, even during lockdown, I still ran. I learned how to run. I did this whole thing in my mask. My most restrictive mask too, where you can't really breathe out of it. It's got like 6 layers of cloth and one of those HEPA filters in there. Really safe mask. A really tight mask too. And when I was running, I was thinking about the game, and yeah, 7 hours went by. I was hurting, like everything was pulsating. Like anything you could think of that wouldn't hurt had a little feeling in it. And I was pretty sore the next day and a couple of days after. But I took time off to be able to recover, and it was time well spent. But anyway, I'm rambling here. This is the end of the video. If you liked what you see, please hit the like button and let me know I did a good job in the comments below. It's always important I get feedback so I don't populate YouTube with crappy videos. When I first started this channel, I wanted to teach people things, what I learned. That's why when part of my logo says easy, Echo Zulu, easy ways to accomplish your goals. I used to say that as part of my intro, but it was so cheesy. But at the end, I did start telling people they were essential. That probably started before it became a thing. But anyway, also hit subscribe if you haven't already. I update every 3 days. If you like this kind of thing, you know what to do. This is John Nezodam. Ding that bell. I'll see you in 3 days. Take care. Stay safe. Remember, you're essential.